Stop scrolling. This message is not loud, but it is precise. If you are someone who worries quietly about your family, about their health, their safety, their future, this is meant for you. Stay till the end, because the last lines will explain why you were led here today. Pause. Breathe. Listen. God says, I see what you carry when no one is watching. You don't talk much about your fears anymore. You don't complain. You don't panic out loud. But every night, before sleep, your thoughts walk through every family member. Are they okay? Will they be safe? Will things stay stable? Here is the first break. God says, I did not miss a single silent worry. Not the one about your children growing up in a confusing world. Not the one about your partner's health. Not the one about being strong even when your body feels tired. Now listen carefully, this is important. God says, I have already placed a shield around your family. Not a shield you can see. A shield that works before danger arrives. Some problems never reached your door. And you didn't even know they were coming. That was not luck. Stay with me. Don't rush. God says, I am protecting your family in ways you no longer have the strength to. You used to manage everything. You used to stay alert all the time. But seasons change. And now, protection does not depend on your constant effort. Here comes the part most elders need to hear. God says, you are not failing because you are tired. You are tired because you have already succeeded. You built values. You taught care. You showed responsibility by example. Now those lessons stand guard, even when you rest. Another break. Let this settle. God says, I am watching over your family when you cannot. When you sleep. When you pray quietly. When you sit silently and think. No moment is uncovered. Now listen, especially if you fear sudden bad news. God says, I am delaying, softening, or removing what could shake your home. Not everything needs to happen. Not every test needs to come. Some battles are cancelled before they begin. Stay till the end. This matters. God says, your family will not be broken by the future. They will adapt. They will support each other. They will remember where they came from. Even when paths change, connection will not disappear. Here is the miracle you've been waiting for. Not dramatic, not noisy. God says, peace is being established as protection. Fewer emergencies. Clearer decisions. Calmer conversations. This is not coincidence. This is covering. Final pause. God says, you don't need to be afraid anymore. Not because nothing will ever happen, but because nothing will happen alone. Your family is surrounded. Your love is multiplied. Your worries are no longer carrying the weight. Stay till this last line. You promised yourself you would. If this message spoke to your heart, comment the word, shield. Why? Because when you write it, you acknowledge that protection is already active. Not coming later. Active now. Just one word, shield. Chapter 2, the shield has been active longer than you realize. Don't rush past this. If you stayed after chapter 1, it's because something inside you knows. This message is not random. Remain till the end. The final instruction matters more than you think. Quiet your mind for a moment. A gentle voice reminds you. I have been standing watch over your family even when you thought you were alone. There were moments you felt unsure. Times when you said nothing, but felt everything. Still, nothing collapsed. That was not because you were lucky. Here comes the first pause. A steady assurance whispers. Many dangers never announced themselves because they were turned away early. You never received the phone call. The report came back normal. The conflict cooled down before exploding. These are not small things. Now listen carefully, especially if you replay the past. A calm reminder unfolds. What you survived was not because you were strong, it was because you were covered. Strength helps endure. Covering prevents destruction. Your family has been under covering. Slow down here. Let this land. A protective presence declares. I adjusted timing, softened outcomes, and redirected paths. Some plans fell apart, but saved you later. Some delays frustrated you, but protected your home. You were guided without being forced. Now, for those who worry about what comes next. A reassuring truth speaks. The protection around your family does not expire with age or circumstance. It does not weaken when you get tired. It does not disappear when responsibility shifts. It remains steady. Here's the part elders rarely hear. A loving assurance continues. You are allowed to release control without releasing care. You don't need to watch every detail anymore. You don't need to anticipate every risk. What truly matters is being watched already. Pause again. A faithful promise flows in. Your family's future is not walking unguarded. Even in unfamiliar seasons. Even in changing times. There is presence ahead of them. Now listen closely, this is important. A quiet authority affirms. What I place around your family cannot be removed by fear. Not by news. Not by age. Not by uncertainty. Fear may speak, but it does not decide. Stay till this last moment. A final reassurance rests gently. You were not brought this far to be left unprotected now. The shield remains. The watch continues. Before you leave this chapter. On faith and trust. Type the number of the next chapter you are ready to receive. Just the number. Type 3. Chapter 3 will follow. Chapter 3, what stands around your family does not sleep. Pause. Don't move yet. If you reach this chapter, it means you are someone who has lived long enough to understand that danger does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly. Sometimes it comes disguised as routine. And yet, your family is still standing. A calm authority reminds you. While you rest, watchfulness continues. There were nights when you slept uneasy. Mornings when you checked your phone before your feet touched the floor. Still, nothing devastating arrived. That is not chance. Break here. Let this sink in. A steady assurance continues. Protection is not a reaction. It is a position. It does not rush in late. It does not wait for permission. It is already placed. Now listen closely, especially if age has made you more thoughtful. A quiet truth unfolds. Your family has been kept safe through ordinary days. No headlines. No drama. Just normal evenings. Normal meals. Normal goodbyes and returns. That normalcy is not guaranteed, it is guarded. Slow down. This part matters. A protective presence speaks gently. I have been standing between your family and what could have shaken them. Arguments that cooled down. Illness that didn't worsen. Situations that resolved before turning serious. You only saw the outcome, not what was intercepted. Now, for those who fear the next generation, a reassuring reminder follows. Your children and grandchildren are not navigating life unescorted. They may make choices you don't fully understand. They may walk paths you didn't imagine. Still, guidance walks with them. Another pause. A firm yet kind voice adds, you are not the last line of defense. That responsibility does not end with you. And it does not rest only on you. What you built is supported by something stronger than effort. Listen carefully now. A grounded promise declares. Time will not expose your family to harm just because years have passed. Growing older does not mean growing vulnerable. It means growing covered. Stay till the end. This chapter closes gently. A final assurance settles in. Nothing important in your family is left unattended. Not emotions. Not health. Not connection. Care remains active, even when unseen. Before you move on. At the end of this chapter, comment the word, watched. Why? Because it affirms that your family is not just loved. They are constantly watched over, beyond human effort. Just one word, watched. Chapter 4 will continue. Chapter 4, what surrounds your family is stronger than worry. Stop here for a moment. If you are still reading, it's because you are someone who has learned that worry doesn't shout anymore. It sits quietly in the background. You don't panic. You think. You remember. You care deeply. And this chapter is for that kind of heart. A steady reassurance rises within you. I have not allowed worry to become your family's future. You've worried enough already. You've imagined enough possibilities. You've stayed alert longer than most. That season had purpose. But it does not get to continue forever. Pause here. This is important. A calm truth unfolds. What protects your family does not rely on constant alertness. Protection does not weaken when you relax. It does not disappear when you stop checking. It remains. Even when your mind finally rests. Now listen carefully, especially if you think ahead a lot. A gentle assurance continues. The future of your family is not fragile. It is not hanging by a thread. It is not waiting to collapse. It is structured. It is balanced. It is supported beyond what you can see. Slow down again. Let this settle. A protective awareness whispers. I am easing pressure off your shoulders. You were never meant to carry everything alone. You were meant to care. Not to control outcomes. Caring has done its job. Now for those who fear sudden changes. A firm reassurance follows. Sudden harm will not define your household. Life may shift. Plans may adjust. But disruption will not dominate your home. Another pause. A grounding reminder speaks. Your family's safety is not accidental. It has been arranged through timing. Through restraint. Through unseen intervention. Some doors closed for a reason. Some paths were never meant to open. Now hear this, especially if you think about legacy. A calm promise continues. What you pass down matters more than you realize. Values linger. Examples repeat. Stability echoes forward. Your influence did not stop at instruction. It became foundation. Stay till the end of this chapter. A final reassurance settles softly. You are allowed to trust the days ahead. Not blindly, but confidently. Because what surrounds your family is not temporary care. It is enduring protection. Before moving to the next chapter, please comment the word, secure. Why this word? Because saying it affirms that safety is not something you are hoping for. It is something already in place. Just one word, secure. Chapter 5 will continue. Chapter 5, what has been set in place for your family cannot be shaken. Stay right here. If you've reached this chapter, it's because you understand something many don't. Real threats don't always look dramatic. They look slow, quiet, ordinary. And yet, your family remains steady. A steady presence reassures you. What has been established around your household is not temporary. Not dependent on moods. Not dependent on strength. Not dependent on constant vigilance. It stands. Even when you feel tired. Pause. This part is important. A calm assurance continues. Time has not weakened your family, it has organized them. You may notice fewer loud moments. More quiet understanding. Less urgency. That is not loss. That is maturity. Now listen closely, especially if you worry about aging. A gentle reminder unfolds. Growing older does not reduce protection, it deepens it. Experience sharpens judgment. Patience steadies reactions. Wisdom prevents unnecessary risk. Your family is safer now than you think. Slow down here. Let this breathe. A protective awareness speaks softly. I have reinforced what matters most before removing what doesn't. Some attachments faded. Some routines changed. Some people drifted away. Not everything that leaves is loss. Some departures are safeguards. Now for those who fear unexpected news. A firm reassurance follows. Your home will not be shaken by surprise chaos. Information will arrive with context. Challenges will come with solutions. Nothing will arrive unaccompanied. Another pause. A grounding truth settles in. Your family is being guided toward stability, not tested for endurance. Endurance was needed before. Now, steadiness takes its place. Life is shifting from survival to sustainability. Listen carefully now, especially if you think about those who depend on you. A caring promise continues. Those connected to you are not walking unsupported. They carry what you taught them. They remember how you handled pressure. They've learned calm by watching you live. Your example still works. Even when you're quiet. Stay till the end of this chapter. A final assurance rests gently. What surrounds your family is stronger than circumstance. Circumstances change. Covering remains. You don't need to predict everything. You only need to trust what's already in place. Before moving forward, please comment the word, steady. Why this word? Because it declares that your family is not just surviving. They are firm, balanced, and held. Just one word, steady. Chapter 6 will continue. Chapter 6, what has been quietly guarding your family is now settling everything. Stay. Don't move yet. If you are still here, it's because you are someone who has lived long enough to know. The most dangerous moments are not always the loud ones. They are the silent transitions. The years when responsibility shifts. The moments when roles change inside a family. And yet, nothing has fallen apart. A calm inner assurance speaks gently. I have been holding things together during the seasons you didn't fully understand. You may not have had all the answers. You may not have felt in control. Still, things aligned instead of collapsing. That alignment was not accidental. Pause here. Let this settle. A steady presence continues. What protects your family works best when it is unnoticed. It does not announce itself. It does not create fear to prove strength. It simply prevents harm from becoming history. Now listen carefully, especially if you think about responsibility. A grounded reminder unfolds. You were never meant to carry the future alone. You carried your part. You did your duty. You showed up again and again. Now, continuity takes over where effort once lived. Slow down. This part matters deeply for elders. A reassuring truth flows in. Your family is not depending on your constant alertness anymore. They are supported by structure. By lessons learned. By bonds formed over time. What you built is now self-supporting. Another pause. A quiet protection speaks. I have been calming what could have turned chaotic. Tensions softened before becoming rifts. Concerns resolved before becoming emergencies. You saw peace. Not the prevention behind it. Now hear this, especially if you worry about changing times. A steady reassurance continues. Change will not arrive to disrupt your household. Adjustments will come, yes. But they will come with understanding. Nothing will arrive suddenly demanding fear. Stay with this chapter. A thoughtful promise settles in. Your family is being led into a slower, safer rhythm. Less urgency. More clarity. Fewer reactions, more intention. That rhythm is not weakness. It is wisdom taking the lead. Now for those who think about legacy. A calm truth adds. What you passed on is still working, even when you are silent. Your values speak when you don't. Your examples guide when you're not present. Your influence didn't fade. It embedded itself. Final pause of this chapter. A reassuring conclusion rests softly. Nothing essential in your family's life is drifting. Not emotionally. Not practically. Not spiritually. Everything important is being kept in place. Before moving to the next chapter, please comment the word, held. Why this word? Because it acknowledges that your family is not hanging on by effort. They are being held, firmly and consistently. Just one word, held. Chapter 7 will continue. Chapter 7, what has been holding your family together is stronger than time. Stay here. This chapter is not rushed, because your life was never rushed. If you are still listening, it's because you've lived long enough to see how quickly things can change. And how quietly stability can remain. You've seen years pass. Faces age. Roles shift. Yet your family is still connected. A calm certainty settles in. What binds your family was formed slowly, and that is why it lasts. Nothing rushed lasts. Nothing forced holds. What grew patiently becomes resilient. Pause here. Let the weight lift. A steady reassurance continues. Time has not weakened your family, it has refined them. You may notice fewer words spoken now. Less explanation needed. More understanding without conversation. That silence is not distance. It is familiarity. Now listen carefully, especially if you think about years gone by. A grounded truth unfolds. What mattered most was protected while other things faded. Some ambitions changed. Some expectations softened. Some worries lost importance. But connection remained. That was intentional. Slow down. This part is for those who feel reflective. A protective awareness speaks gently. Your family learned how to stay connected without constant agreement. Differences appeared. Opinions evolved. Yet respect stayed. That balance does not happen by chance. Another pause. A reassuring presence continues. I have been keeping your family anchored while life kept moving. Moves happened. Transitions occurred. Responsibilities shifted. But the anchor never lifted. Now hear this, especially if you worry about being replaced or forgotten. A calm reminder flows in. Your place in your family is not temporary. Influence does not expire. Guidance does not vanish. Even when you step back, your presence remains felt. Stay with this chapter. A steady promise settles. Your family's strength is not dependent on perfect conditions. They've learned to adjust. To listen. To pause before reacting. That is not fragility. That is maturity. Now for those thinking about the future. A quiet assurance adds. What comes next will not erase what came before. New chapters will build. Not replace. Memory will coexist with progress. Final pause of this chapter. A gentle conclusion rests in the heart. Your family is not drifting with time, they are grounded within it. They are not scattered. They are not unraveling. They are settled. Before moving to the next chapter, please comment the word, anchored. Why this word? Because it declares that no matter how much time moves forward, your family remains firmly grounded and connected. Just one word, anchored. Chapter 8 will continue. Chapter 8, what stands over your family has not moved, even when life did. Stay here. This chapter is slower, because it speaks to people who have lived long enough to understand that not everything important announces itself. Some things simply remain. You've watched years turn quietly. Children grow into adults. Responsibilities change hands. Yet something steady has stayed over your family. A calm inner knowing rises. While life shifted, a covering stayed in place. You adjusted. You adapted. You learned to let some things go. And still, your family did not scatter. Pause here. This matters. A gentle assurance continues. Stability does not mean nothing changes. It means nothing essential is lost. Roles evolve. Voices age. Energy slows. But connection holds. Now listen carefully, especially if you've lived through uncertainty. A grounded truth unfolds. What guarded your family was never dependent on perfect decisions. You didn't always know the right move. You didn't always choose correctly. Still, outcomes softened instead of breaking. That is protection without condition. Slow down. This part is for elders who reflect quietly. A steady presence speaks softly. I stood watch during moments you later forgot. Conversations that could have escalated, didn't. Health scares that resolved, quickly. Situations that looked risky, passed harmlessly. You remember the relief. Not what was prevented. Another pause. A reassuring awareness continues. Your family has been guided away from paths that looked right but ended wrong. Some opportunities didn't work out. Some plans changed suddenly. At the time, it felt disappointing. Later, it made sense. Now hear this, especially if you think about the next generation. A calm reminder settles in. Those who come after you are not unprotected just because the world feels different. Guidance adapts. Care adjusts. Protection is not outdated, it is responsive. Stay with this chapter. A steady promise flows in. Your family is not exposed simply because times are changing. Change does not remove covering. It activates it in new ways. What worked before now works differently, but just as effectively. Now for those who fear becoming less relevant. A gentle truth adds. Your role did not disappear, it transformed. From directing to advising. From managing to witnessing. That shift is not loss. It is completion of a cycle. Final pause of this chapter. A quiet conclusion rests deeply. Nothing essential has slipped past watchfulness. Not love. Not unity. Not safety. Your family has been kept. Through movement, through time, through change. Before moving to the next chapter, please comment the word, covered. Why this word? Because it acknowledges that even when life moves fast and directions change, your family remains under steady care. Just one word, covered. Chapter 9 will continue. Chapter 9, what has been watching over your family never looked away. Stay with this chapter. This one is for those who have learned, through years, not words, that the most powerful protection is the kind you don't notice until you look back. Life moved fast. Days blended into years. Responsibilities quietly changed hands. And still, your family remained intact. A deep inner assurance speaks without noise. Attention never drifted, even when life felt ordinary. Ordinary days matter. Because that's when most things could go wrong. Yet they didn't. Pause here. This is important. A steady realization settles in. Nothing important slipped through the cracks. Not emotions left unspoken. Not needs overlooked. Not moments that could have turned into regret. Something stayed alert, without exhausting you. Now listen carefully, especially if you think about past close calls. A calm understanding unfolds. Many outcomes softened before they reached your door. Words were restrained. Timing shifted. People changed their minds. You saw peace. You didn't see the redirection behind it. Slow down. This part speaks to experience. A quiet confidence continues. Your family was never left to chance. Chance is unreliable. Care is not. Care anticipated. Care adjusted. Care stayed. Another pause. A reassuring presence adds. Protection worked in silence so fear wouldn't take root. If you had seen every risk, you would have lived in tension. Instead, you lived your life. That was intentional. Now hear this, especially if you worry about what you couldn't control. A grounded truth settles in. You were not expected to foresee everything. That was never your role. Your role was to love. To guide when needed. To remain present. The rest was handled elsewhere. Stay with this chapter. A steady reminder follows. Your family has been spared from learning certain lessons the hard way. Some mistakes never happened. Some consequences never arrived. That is not because of perfection, but prevention. Now for those who feel time passing quickly. A gentle reassurance adds. Years did not outrun watchfulness. Growing older did not mean growing exposed. Change did not mean vulnerability. Coverage adapted with time. Final pause of this chapter. A calm conclusion rests firmly. Nothing essential in your family was ever unattended. Not during busy years. Not during quiet ones. Attention stayed constant. Even when life distracted you. Before moving forward, please comment the word, attended. Why this word? Because it acknowledges that your family was never overlooked, never ignored, never left alone. They were attended to in every season. Just one word, attended. Chapter 10 will continue. Chapter 10, what has been steadily guiding your family did not arrive by accident. Stay right here. This chapter is slower, deeper. Because it speaks to people who have lived enough years to recognize patterns. You've seen ups and downs. You've seen relatives drift apart, and some come back together. You've seen worries that felt permanent quietly dissolve with time. And through all of it, something kept arranging outcomes gently. A calm inner certainty settles in. Nothing that truly mattered in your family was left unmanaged. You may not have understood events while they were happening. But looking back now, things didn't spiral the way they could have. That restraint was deliberate. Pause here. This part matters. A grounded awareness continues. Guidance often works by narrowing harm, not eliminating life. Life still happened. Mistakes still occurred. Emotions still ran high. But damage stopped short of becoming destruction. That boundary was set quietly. Now listen carefully, especially if you reflect on earlier years. A thoughtful truth unfolds. Certain arguments ended sooner than expected for a reason. Words softened. Silence replaced escalation. Understanding arrived, sometimes late, but in time. You may have thought, we were lucky. It was more than luck. Slow down. This speaks to elders directly. A reassuring presence continues. Your family was taught restraint before learning regret. Some lessons never needed to be painful. Some realizations came gently. That gentleness was intentional protection. Another pause. A steady insight adds. What guided your family worked around human limitations. Around fatigue. Around stress. Around moments of confusion. You didn't have to be perfect for outcomes to improve. Now hear this, especially if you worry about unfinished responsibilities. A calm reminder settles in. You were never meant to finish everything alone. Your role was to begin. To demonstrate. To care. Continuation was already planned. Stay with this chapter. A composed assurance follows. Your family has been quietly led away from irreversible choices. Some options looked attractive, but closed. Some paths seemed delayed, but saved you later. You only saw the result. Not the redirection. Now for those who think about stability in later years. A steady promise unfolds. The years ahead will feel more organized, not more chaotic. Less reaction. More clarity. Fewer emergencies. This is not coincidence, it is settling. Final pause of this chapter. A calm conclusion rests deeply. What guided your family did not rush, and that is why it endured. Rushed things break. Patient things hold. Your family has been held, patiently. Before moving to the next chapter, please comment the word, guided. Why this word? Because it acknowledges that your family was never wandering blindly. They were guided step by step, even when the path wasn't clear. Just one word, guided. Chapter 11 will continue. Chapter 11, what has been quietly arranging your family's path did not need permission. Stay here a little longer. This chapter speaks to those who have lived long enough to realize that the most important arrangements in life happen without announcements. You didn't plan everything. You didn't foresee every turn. And yet, things aligned when they needed to. A calm inner knowing settles gently. Order was established even when life felt uncertain. There were phases when nothing made sense. Decisions felt heavy. Outcomes felt delayed. Still, nothing essential collapsed. Pause here. Let this breathe. A steady reassurance continues. What arranged your family's steps worked beyond your awareness. It didn't ask for constant attention. It didn't require approval. It simply placed things where they needed to be. Now listen carefully, especially if you think about missed opportunities. A grounded truth unfolds. Not everything that passed by was meant to stay. Some chances disappeared quickly. Some doors closed unexpectedly. At the time, it felt confusing. Later, you realized. Those exits protected your home. Slow down. This part speaks to experience. A quiet assurance speaks softly. Your family was spared from paths that looked promising but carried long-term cost. Short-term gain was avoided. Long-term stability was chosen. Even when you didn't know you were choosing. Another pause. A reassuring awareness adds. What truly belonged to your family always found its way back. People returned. Peace returned. Balance returned. Time did not erase what was meant to remain. Now hear this, especially if you worry about control slipping away. A calm reminder settles in. You were never required to manage every outcome. Management exhausts. Arrangement sustains. Your role was presence. Not perfection. Stay with this chapter. A steady promise continues. Your family's direction was adjusted gently, not forcefully. No sudden shocks. No irreversible damage. Corrections happened quietly. Before consequences grew. Now for those thinking about the coming years. A composed assurance unfolds. The years ahead will feel simpler, not heavier. Less pushing. More flowing. Fewer urgent decisions. Life is entering a calmer rhythm. Final pause of this chapter. A settled conclusion rests deeply. Nothing meant for your family arrived late, and nothing harmful arrived early. Timing was precise. Placement was intentional. Your family moved exactly as they needed to. Before continuing, please comment the word, aligned. Why this word? Because it affirms that your family's life was not random or scattered. It was aligned step by step, even when you couldn't see it. Just one word, aligned. Chapter 12 will continue. Chapter 12, what has been steady around your family is now becoming visible. Stay right here. This chapter is for those who have reached a stage in life where they don't need noise to recognize truth. You've lived through seasons where protection felt invisible. You did your part quietly. You carried responsibility without applause. And now, something subtle is changing. A calm realization settles in. What was working in silence is beginning to show its results. Not as sudden miracles. Not as dramatic moments. But as relief. Less tension in conversations. More ease in daily routines. Fewer worries waking you at night. Pause here. This matters deeply. A steady assurance continues. Peace arriving slowly lasts longer. Anything that rushes in can rush out. But what settles gently stays. Your family is entering that kind of peace. Now listen carefully, especially if you've waited a long time. A grounded truth unfolds. You were not forgotten during the waiting years. Waiting was not absence. Silence was not neglect. Things were being arranged beneath the surface. Slow down. This part is important for elders. A reassuring presence speaks softly. The weight you carried is being redistributed. Not everything rests on you anymore. Not every outcome depends on your vigilance. Support has expanded. Another pause. A quiet insight adds. Your family is beginning to feel safer without knowing why. Safety doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it simply shows up as calm. As normal days. As ordinary evenings without worry. That calm is earned. Now hear this, especially if you fear what you won't be able to do later. A gentle reminder settles in. Your value was never only in what you could manage. Your presence mattered. Your example mattered. Your steadiness mattered. And it still does. Even as roles evolve. Stay with this chapter. A composed assurance continues. What comes next will not demand urgency from you. No rushing. No scrambling. Life is beginning to move at a pace that respects experience. Now for those reflecting on family bonds. A calm truth unfolds. Connection is strengthening through understanding, not control. You no longer need to correct everything. You no longer need to intervene constantly. Trust is replacing tension. Final pause of this chapter. A settled conclusion rests deeply. What protected your family is now allowing you to breathe. Not because danger has vanished. But because stability has taken root. This is not an ending. It is a settling. Before moving to the next chapter, please comment the word, settled. Why this word? Because it acknowledges that your family is not just getting by. They are settling into a safer, calmer season. Just one word, settled. Chapter 13 will continue. Chapter 13, what has been quietly sustaining your family is now strengthening them. Stay with this chapter. This one speaks to people who understand that real strength is not loud. It is consistent. You have seen storms pass without tearing your home apart. You have seen pressure rise and then soften. You have watched people mature instead of break. That did not happen by chance. A steady inner assurance settles gently. Support has been constant, even when energy was not. There were days you felt tired. Days when answers didn't come quickly. Days when silence felt heavier than words. Yet stability remained. Pause here. Let this sink in. A grounded truth continues. Strength does not always feel powerful while it's working. Sometimes it feels like patience. Sometimes it feels like restraint. Sometimes it feels like choosing not to react. That quiet discipline protected more than force ever could. Now listen carefully, especially if you've lived through long responsibilities. A calm understanding unfolds. Your family learned endurance without becoming hardened. They learned to hold on without becoming bitter. They learned to adapt without losing values. That balance is rare. Slow down. This part is for elders who observe quietly. A reassuring awareness speaks softly. What you modeled became stronger than what you instructed. Your calm during tension. Your restraint during disagreement. Your steadiness during uncertainty. Those lessons stayed. Another pause. A gentle confidence continues. Your family is no longer fragile in the way you fear. They may still need guidance. They may still make mistakes. But they are not easily shaken anymore. They've learned grounding. Now hear this, especially if you worry about future challenges. A composed reminder settles in. Future pressure will meet prepared hearts. Not rushed reactions. Not panic-driven decisions. But measured responses shaped by experience. Stay with this chapter. A steady promise follows. Support is no longer only protective, it is reinforcing. What once prevented damage is now building resilience. Your family is moving from being guarded to being grounded. Now for those reflecting on family unity. A calm truth unfolds. Understanding is replacing explanation. You no longer need to say everything. You no longer need to prove every point. Mutual respect is doing the work. Final pause of this chapter. A settled conclusion rests firmly. What sustained your family quietly is now making them stronger openly. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. But steadily. In ways that last. Before continuing, please comment the word, strengthened. Why this word? Because it affirms that your family is no longer just being protected. They are growing stronger from what once tested them. Just one word, strengthened. Chapter 14 will continue.